the original, very original uh, Missouri Mystic. All right, Odsy, this mic is all yours.
Thank you so much, Lynn. I'm so excited to be here again. I love Thursdays. I love every day of the week. I always have something great going on with studies of A Course in Miracles and other texts I read. So it's just a gift. And we're going to continue on today, page 6 of our book, A Course in Mysticism and Miracles. Begin Your Spiritual Adventure by John Mundy, PhD, also the author of Living A Course in Miracles, which is also being read here at ACIM Gather on YouTube if you're interested in that book. So page 6, let's carry on. We're kind of in the middle of the chapter here, so we'll just pick it up. Excuse me. Something wonderful happens during a mystical experience. A feeling of unity and connectedness and a knowing transcend our ordinary sight. Something impels us to reach out in love for even greater love. Repeated experience with the mystical encourages our attention. Something pulls us to an even deeper seeing, knowing, and being. 15th century Italian polymath Leonardo da Vinci once wrote, "I awoke only to see that the rest of the world was sleeping." Mysticism is an awakening and the discovery of a state of mind that transcends what can be called the ordinary mind, or the sleeping mind, or the dreaming mind. Mystical experiences are transpersonal. That is, they transcend the personal and lead to an understanding of something much greater than the bodily me that walks the earth and has an identity as an individual. While others may question the veracity of mystical experiences, mystics do not. Profound mystical experiences, what the Course calls holy instants, are transformative and life-changing. Once the door opens, you cannot shut it completely, and God's love will eventually flood your life. 17th century English dissenter George Fox, the founder of the Society of Friends, better known as the Quakers, said, "God can only be found experientially." We do not need the ideas of others or a book to learn about God. Holy women and men often spend a great deal of time in silence, going within. There is, Fox said, something of the inward light in everyone, and anyone can make direct contact with God. When I was younger, I used to read the book, Are You There, God? Are You There, God? It's Me. What was it? It's Me, Margaret. It was a Judy Blume book, I think.
Yes, Margaret.
And, oh, Lynn, do you
Yes,
remember it?
Margaret. Yeah, because my name is Margaret. So
Oh,
I always remember
so it was, Are You There, God? It's Me,
Margaret.
Margaret.
Yep.
Okay, because I couldn't remember the name because I always would substitute it for my own
That makes sense. You're so smart. I love it. All
as
right.
I was reading it when I was younger. And I just, oh my goodness, what a book. What a book. And then when I was younger, I also grew up with the George Burns movie. Geez, Hello, God.
Oh God.
Oh God, book one. Oh God, book two. Thank you, Lynn. Oh my goodness. And just those, I don't know, it just made such an impression on me.
That's when he gave the business card with his guy with the God on the business card. He gave John Denver. He did John Denver was in that movie.
John Denver?
Yeah, he was when he played the lead in that movie. He was John Denver.
Oh, that is even more profound
Yeah,
because
he
that,
played yeah. And God gave him a business card. So he show him one of his business cards and didn't believe you. No one believed
oh
him.
my gosh, that's beautiful because that was the song my mom had was by
Mhm.
John Denver.
Yeah.
Wow. I'm gonna have to watch those again now that I'm bringing them up because I know I loved his role as God, smoking the cigar and just I just am grateful that that's how I grew up with feeling that because to me God was a part of me. And that's a big difference than somebody growing up and feeling they're separate from God. So I'm pretty grateful for having just feeling like I could just even talk to God in that way, in a conversational way. It wasn't this having to have a, specific prayer that it had to be like Christian prayer or a, special song or anything. It was just conversational. I think that made a lot of difference for me in my relationship and how I saw God, but then getting it confused when I got into religions. And I just love how it's saying, the holy women and men spend a great deal of time in silence and going within and talking about anyone, and everyone can make direct contact with God. It's so beautiful. Thank you guys for that help. Oh, let's go on here. Mysticism is also a process of becoming. It is a turning, a churning, turning, cooking kind of thing. Like pebbles rolling around in a tub of sand. We must sometimes go through rough places to smooth things out. The door to heaven is called forgiveness, and sometimes it takes a bit of work to find freedom from our judgmental minds. And that's what it's all about, the judgment within our minds. According to the Course, when we see the world without the contamination of the ego, we see only purity, only wholeness. Forgiveness means looking at the world of the ego without judging it, even in the face of what appears as evil. Mystics see only love. This is so nice because it makes more sense to me because I've been into the land of YouTube also and watching different types of videos, and some are, I'm like, why am I watching this? Why am I interested or intrigued? Like, what is the point of me following this? And what I heard is that it's just about seeing that what comes up in my own mind so that I can clean it. And so when I'm in these communities, I really am watching my mind and seeing where judgments come out. And judgments come out because it's all about forgiveness opportunities. Absolutely. So I'm overjoyed that I, even when I'm thinking I'm just sort of in this mode of living in the world and doing something I enjoy, listening to these podcasts of this, that I realize that I'm actually taking that in so that I can see what forgiveness opportunities I have. So I'm grateful for that. So the door to heaven is called forgiveness. And sometimes it takes a bit of work to find freedom from our judgmental minds. According to the Course, when we see the world without the contamination of the ego, we see only purity, only wholeness. Forgiveness means looking at the world of the ego without judging it. Even in the face of what appears as evil, mystics see only love. I know I read that before, but beautiful. Thus, Jesus could go to the cross saying, "Father, forgive them, for they know not what they do." He did not say that so God would know how to handle the situation. He said it so we would have a better understanding of how to handle much less severe situations when we feel ourselves to be persecuted. Vast numbers of people have had mystical experiences. Immediate spiritual intuition can come to anyone, regardless of age, religious training, or spiritual inclination. And it can come at any time, perhaps when you are very relaxed, perhaps under dramatic circumstances like an automobile accident. Having a mystical experience does not make you a mystic, however. Mystical experiences are simply doors and windows to a wider awareness. They signal a stage in spiritual development that will, if nourished, grow ever more deeply into love. As one Course teacher and contemporary mystic put it, the heart of mysticism is the transformation of human consciousness into divine consciousness. Beautiful. Yes. Human consciousness into divine consciousness. That is beautiful. In No Boundary, Eastern and Western Approaches to Personal Growth, Ken Wilber argues that the mystical traditions of the world provide access to a transcendental dimension that is available throughout all time. The essence of mysticism, he claims, is that in the deepest part of your true being, in the very center of your own pure awareness, you are fundamentally one with Spirit, one with Godhead, one with all, in a timeless, eternal, and unchanging fashion. When we have a mystical experience, everything we see is the love of God, and everything we experience is the love of God. Carl Jung expressed it this way: your vision will become clear only when you can look into your own heart. Who looks outside dreams. Who looks inside awakens. Wow, like, oh, I didn't even really know, like when I took Carl Jung in university for my first course in psychology, I didn't realize that he was such a mystic with the looking outside dreams, looking inside awakens. I just knew him as just the science part and what he kind of said against, maybe more so against Freud. I don't know. This is very lovely to read. Next part of the book, we have some definitions, 17 to be exact, of what mysticism is. Looks like John gathered these definitions while reading various sources on mysticism. So let's go through these. First one is, mysticism is a direct experience of God and an awareness of truth. Number 2, mysticism is knowledge that comes from the self and not the ego self. So there's a number 2, there's some discernment that will probably need to be understood to see the difference between that capital S self and the ego self. Number 3, mysticism is realizing there is no such thing as ego. And as I read that too, number 2, and saying the discernment about the capital S self and the ego self, I just heard this. They're the same. I don't know if that means anything or if that's even true, because I don't know anything, but that was interesting that number 3 comes in saying, realizing there's no such thing as ego. Number 4, mysticism is knowledge of the interconnectedness of all things. Mysticism is the science and art of the spiritual life. Number 6, mysticism is the science of self-evident reality. Mysticism is an experience that brings awareness of higher truths. Number 8, mysticism is a transcending of the ego world to experience self. 9, mysticism is direct union with the divine by means of contemplation. Beautiful. That would be when I would be journaling, writing a letter to God. I used to do that. I found an old notebook from 2019 that's half full of here, it's right here, and I begin it by saying, my dearest Holy Spirit, or dear Holy Spirit, or dear Jesus, dear God, good morning, Holy Spirit. So I've got all these from 2019, all these, I'm going to reread them just because I'm curious what I was writing to Holy Spirit about. So that was a nice little find of having, I don't know if I felt like I had a direct union or what my intent was. So I'm just going back to look at that in the next bit here. So number 10, mysticism is a belief in the power of spiritual access to ultimate reality. Mysticism is about clearing the mind to access transcendence. Mysticism is a realization that truth is immanent and transcendent. Mysticism is being receptive instead of projective. Mysticism is the awakening within the self of divine reality. Number 15, mysticism is the purification of perception and seeing through illusions. Mysticism is an inner return to our divine source and consciousness. And number 17, mysticism is faith in a transformative higher power without dogma. Beautiful. And so those are 17 definitions of what mysticism is. Now let's look at what mysticism is not. Okay. Mysticism is one of the most abused words in the English language, Evelyn Underhill tells us in her 1911 book, Mysticism, which has become a classic. Which embarrasses this one a little because I've never heard of it, this classic. So I'll maybe look it up or maybe not. It has been claimed as an excuse for every kind of occultism, for diluted transcendentalism, vapid symbolism, religious or aesthetic sentimentality, and bad metaphysics. Oof! Underhill, perhaps the most brilliant and indefatigable researcher in the field of mysticism, devoted her life to the topic, writing over 30 books on it. Oof. Upon her death, the Times said that in the field of theology, she was unmatched by any of the professional teachers of her day. Underhill's insight is key and suggests that it is as important to understand what mysticism is not as it is to understand what it is. Isn't that beautiful? Because I know part of this one's mind training is about, you know, what am I not? What am I not? Looking at that. Oh, the neti. So let's go through these here. Mysticism is not vague. Sometimes experiences may be called mystical because the ideas involved may seem unclear. Mysticism is occasionally associated with the word misty because the word sounds similar. There is, however, nothing misty, foggy, or hazy about mysticism. To mystics, the truth is clear. Mysticism is not a mystery. While there is an etymological connection between the words mysticism and mystery, mysticism is not about secrets, although to the uninitiated, any mystical path may appear mysterious, like an unfamiliar language. Mysticism is also not something entirely within the realm of the intellect, not something open to conceptualization alone. Mysticism is not magic. Underhill tells us that in mysticism, in her book, Mysticism. Magic wants to get. Mysticism wants to give. Mysticism isn't about getting anything. It is not a display, nor is it about using secret incantations or hocus pocus of any kind. It's not about sorcery or the use of rituals to achieve something. Magic, the Course tells us, is the mindless or the miscreative use of mind. That's from text chapter 2. Magicians are illusionists. They hide the truth. Mystics reveal truth. They bring us clarity and freedom. Mysticism is not evangelical. To be evangelical, you must feel that you are right and others are wrong. Mysticism, on the other hand, simply means aligning the mind with truth, which changes relationships, making them peaceful. It thus changes the world in a subtle and completely nonviolent way. As English scholar John Davidson points out, outwardly, mystics live a normal, straightforward existence, being good, kind, and honest with everyone, without feeling the need to convert others to their own point of view. That is just choosing peace over being right. That's what I hear. Mysticism is not a cult. Occultists claim to have secret knowledge and paranormal abilities. Mysticism, on the other hand, is about awakening to the reality of who we are in truth. While mysticism may have some of the characteristics of parapsychological phenomena, clairvoyance, clairaudience, distant vision, telepathic or precognitive abilities, it is not about hearing voices, talking to the dead, predicting the future, seeing visions, reading minds, or walking on hot coals. In fact, occult powers and the desire for them can impede mystical mindedness. Mysticism is not an opinion, Underhill claims in her classic book. It is not a philosophy. It has nothing in common with the pursuit of occult knowledge. And there's 3 more sections of what mysticism is not, and I will leave those for next week as I look that we are on already the top of the half an hour here. Wow, sure goes by quickly. And I'm just thankful once again to be here with you live, or if you're watching on the replay. And everybody have a wonderful, fantastic rest of the day and upcoming weekend, or whatever day it is. Thank you so much, everybody.
Thank you, Audrey. Love you so much, my friend. And we will see you next